Lebanon endures escalating Israeli strikes, mounting losses and stalled ceasefire talks as diplomatic efforts try to contain the conflict. Gaza faces relentless airstrikes, rising casualties, and severe humanitarian challenges, with aid struggling to meet urgent needs amid accusations of war crimes. COP29 in Baku sees critical climate finance talks overshadowed by fossil fuel lobbyists, with developing nations demanding stronger support. Let's begin with the escalating situation in Gaza. Welcome to Focus. In today's Guardian, a harrowing headline reads, Mazyouna's face was ripped off when a rocket hit her home. Israel has refused to allow her evacuation. This report highlights the unimaginable suffering of a 12-year-old girl in Gaza, whose life hangs in the balance due to denied medical evacuation. With 2,500 children in Gaza urgently needing medical care, the story underscores a profound humanitarian crisis that is being exacerbated by restrictions on aid and evacuations. As international agencies raise alarms, the question remains, how much longer will this inaction persist, and at what cost? Joining us to discuss this is Dr. Abdel Nasser Makki, Professor of Political Science at Birzeit University. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening.
Now, Dr. Makki, with the recent Israeli airstrikes killing over 28 Palestinians and injuring over 112, how do you assess the immediate impact of these intensified operations on Gaza's civilian population?
I think this is a big massive in Gaza, and I think the numbers that you mentioned even is not the correct numbers, because there are many of the people that have been died and nobody knows about this.
And this is the recent numbers. We're speaking here about the recent numbers. The numbers are enormous indeed. Please continue.
Yes, I'm with you. But I think also, as you mentioned, the situation in Gaza is dangerous, and also many people died, and also there is the starvation. And I think even happening now, even from all the international community for that's trying to help and supporting the people and the civilian in Gaza, it's not enough, because the Israeli is not response to any of all these, demands from the international community and from the United Nations and from the European Union.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's disaster in Gaza. It's catastrophe.
Indeed. 8 trucks have entered Gaza, but concerns persist about the logistical challenges. Do you believe that this aid can really effectively reach those most in need, or are just measures or symbolic measures and symbolic gestures?
No, I don't think that all this aid will be enough, because, as you know, from the beginning, before the last October last year, the number of the trucks that have been, that entered Gaza was much more than 1,000 trucks. Now, as they said, it's about maybe 100 or 200. Even that, it's not reach or arrive to the north part of Gaza, and some of it just arrived to the south part of Gaza. And also, that there are huge demands from the people, especially on the aid, in the medicine, and also food, water. So the people even died from the starvation, from the lack of water, from the lack of medicine. And the catastrophic is going there and continue. And all of these, that's aid. It's not enough even for, that's a part of Gaza. You are talking about 2 million or much more than that. And much of them, that many of these people, they are on the north part of Gaza. The Israeli is prevent, or they're not allowed to the trucks to enter Gaza to provide the people. And even that there are some of the militant who, that attack these aids from the trucks, and they stole all these, they steal all these aids. So this is the problem, because if the Israeli want to provide Gaza with aid, and they didn't want to have, that's starvation in Gaza, they should interfere in this. But I don't think so that Israeli are not interested even in that.
Mhm. Now, sir, Human Rights Watch has accused already Israel of committing war crimes, including forced displacements, the destruction of the civilian infrastructure, homes, and all that. How do such accusations reflect on the international efforts towards reaching a ceasefire, or towards the ceasefire negotiations themselves?
That's about the International Justice Court. They announcement of their, that decisions against Israeli, and they accuse it of genocide. But it's not changed anything from the Israeli behavior in Gaza. For the international community, that's in to interfere in Gaza, I think that they are not enough, and they need to, and I think it's need to interfere much more than before, because now we are talking about starvation, we are talking about killing the people. Nobody is, that's interfere in this. So for the international community, or the intervention of even the international institution and the United Nations, it's not enough, and we need they need to interfere much more than before. The Israeli is not, that's interested in this. The Israeli is not allowed to. Even that, the Israeli, as you know, they accuse that the United Nations, the UNRWA, like a terrorist. So now they close all these offices, even in West Bank, and they destroyed their offices and the schools in Gaza. So I think we are talking about something horrible in Gaza, disaster. The international community is not response, and they should respond much more than that now.
Now, over 43,000 Palestinians have reportedly died since October 7th, 2023. What long-term implications might this conflict have on Gaza's population and definitely the infrastructure in Gaza?
I think, as you know, the infrastructure in Gaza have been destroyed totally. Even we are talking about the schools, we are talking about hospitals, we are talking about the roads, we are talking about even the houses of the people. About 90 or 95% from the houses have been destroyed. 100% have been destroyed in north of Gaza. So the infrastructure have been destroyed totally. That they have the solid waste. That's in Gaza, the solid waste institution. They have also the sewage system. They have been destroyed. Also, the water system have been destroyed. The education, the health, the hospitals in the north part of Gaza, especially. I think influence on the number of the rate of the population in Gaza in the future, because that now they don't have any houses to stay, and many of them they are going from one place to another place and come back, return back according to the Israeli instructions and orders. Otherwise, they will be killed. So I think the number of the people in Gaza will decrease unless there will be solution in the future. Or I think if they stay in their home. They want to die in their home. They don't want to leave their home in North Gaza, in Jabalia refugee camp or Bet Lahiya or Bet Hanun. But
Right.
what they will do after that, because you know
Right.
that the Israeli now they are bombing, they are killing.
Yes, yes, indeed. Horrific scenes. Dr. Abdel Nasser Maki, we appreciate so much your time and definitely your analysis in unpacking escalating tensions in Gaza. And now we turn our focus to Lebanon, where the humanitarian crisis continues to deepen under the shadow of relentless military operations.
كل المستهدفين هن مدنيين.
وضع شيء مرعب، شيء بخوف.
The situation in Lebanon has taken a dangerous turn as the New York Times reports under the headlines Israel pounds area near Beirut amid signs of a widening offensive. Israeli airstrikes are now targeting areas deeper inside Lebanon territory, including Dahiya near Beirut, signaling an escalation that undermines ceasefire efforts. The article highlights how the offensive, coupled with Hezbollah's continued resistance, could complicate both regional stability and diplomatic mediation led by the United States. Such developments stress the urgency of international intervention to prevent further loss of lives and a deepening humanitarian crisis. And we're joined by Dr. Hassan Al-Daja, Professor of Strategic Studies, to delve into these developments. Dr. Daja, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening to you.
Now, Israel's strikes on civil defense facilities in Beirut suburbs have claimed many lives, including rescue workers. How does targeting such locations escalate the very hot conflict?
I think Israeli government and the occupied army of Israel is not concerning with the international humanitarian law or public law or the Charter of United Nations in the situation of the war to avoid attacking the medical assistant and medical places and hospitals and other services, civil services, which present to the people because they are injured or killed by the airstrike of the airplane of Israeli air forces. The world is not moving toward condemn these activities of Israeli deeds and activities, which is unhumanitarian toward this defense people who helps the people to save their life, to take the injured people from the destroyed place to the hospital. And so this is a sign that the West is not concerned with the humanitarian issues of the Arabs in general. But this thing, if it is happen in a different place in Europe, then we will see the double stand of the West. How can they their attitudes toward these activities or these attacks by the enemies? Yes.
Right. Dr. Daga, U.S. mediation efforts appear to face hurdles, particularly around Israel's security demands. What compromises might be necessary to achieve a ceasefire?
I think ceasefire, now the Israeli armed forces need the ceasefire because they have many casualties and many killed people from their soldier. So this thing will let the Israeli go to negotiation to ceasefire to try to fulfill the objectives, which they couldn't do it by the armed forces. They are facing a lot of troubles, a lot of killing their soldier. Many soldiers was killed, many of them injured. They couldn't go ahead in the South Lebanon, in the village of the South Lebanon. So I think the United States and Israel, they are going for political negotiation to gain more objectives, which they couldn't do it by the armed forces. Yes.
Now, Iran has expressed support for Lebanon. How do you see or assess Iran's involvement influencing regional dynamics and the likelihood of a broader conflict?
I think Israel is going to escalate more broader places, geographic places, for this reason, because Netanyahu's political future is linked with the war. If he will stop the war, I would think he will not continue in his office. But why he want to go to ceasefire in South Lebanon? Because he couldn't get a victory, a clear victory of his armed forces in the south. But he used to, the Israeli government used to make an airstrike in Damascus and some Syrian places, also in other places in Syria. So he want to escalate this. But I think because of the Trump announcement that he wants to stop the war, I think now they are going to make ceasefire to stop this war before the Trump's coming to the office.
Now,
yes.
We were speaking about the Iranian involvement.
Yes, Iran, I think Iran, they are going to get advantage of the remain time of the Biden to attack Israel again, because I think that Iran announced a lot of time that they will do this attack against Israel, and they will do it before the 20th of January, coming January, before Trump is coming to the office.
Now, with Lebanon's economy suffering billions in damages, how critical is international assistance in mitigating the humanitarian and financial fallout of this conflict?
I think Lebanon is facing an economic crisis before and now. According to the World Bank report, there is more than loss of more than 7 milliards in Lebanon economy in many fields. And I think this assistance will be not recovered by the international aid as much as Lebanon need to recover this losses. Yes.
Yes, Dr. Hassan Daga, we appreciate, of course, your time and your analysis in unpacking the escalating tensions in Lebanon. And finally, we shift gears to COP29 in Baku, where the global stage is set for pivotal discussions on climate finance and challenges of addressing the climate crisis.
Pleasure to declare open the 29th session of the Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change.
COP29 must tear down the walls of climate finance.
Qnews recently published a striking headline. Did people have to fly to COP29? Private jet used soared, but one group got to Baku overland. This report highlights the troubling hypocrisy surrounding climate summits, especially as new data reveals that 65 private jets landed in Baku for COP29, doubling last year's count. While the summit aims to combat climate change, the emissions from these jets paint a contrasting picture. Critics argue that such actions undermine the credibility of the event, particularly in an oil-rich host nation with over 1,700 fossil fuel lobbyists in attendance. Meanwhile, a few individuals made headlines by traveling overland to Baku, demonstrating that alternatives, while challenging, are possible. Now, to discuss these pivotal updates, so we have Sheikh Ali Aliyev, a journalist reporting live from Baku. Sheikh Ali, good evening to you, sir. Right. Now, Sheikh Ali, India has pushed for significant climate finance commitments. How realistic are the demands, and how might they shape the outcome of COP29?
Yes, of course, there are some countries like India and China that refuse to commit to climate change regulations at this point. As you know, today there were a lot of deliberations around climate finance in the sessions of the COP29 conference, and we have in fact heard a lot of figures that amount to trillions of US dollars that are required for climate finance projects. And as well, there is the alliance of small island countries, and the alliance said that these countries require climate financing of 29 million USDs annually, and there are other smaller scale countries that expressed that they need $220 million on an annual basis in order to finance climate projects. And Azerbaijan said as well that it is ready to participate in climate finance, and Azerbaijan as well expressed that it has a lot of participation in this regard. With regards to major economic states like China and India, we find that both reject to fulfill their commitments when it comes to climate finance. And for that matter, I think that a strike will be imposed on international pursuits to mitigate climate change and adapt to it.
Now, the Baku call on climate action emphasizes peace and inclusivity. Do you see this as a turning point in global climate talks, or is it more symbolic than true and real actions?
Unfortunately, we have been, following up with the previous COPs, and we have seen over and over again that state or country statements are just rhetoric that is never really actualized on the ground and translated into effective ground measures. But still, we aspire that the Baku conference or Baku COP29 is going to result in the operationalization of some ground measures.
Indeed.
In fact, we have perceived some fruitful deliberations happening in this COP29, and we have seen a lot of instruments and treaties between the parties, and specifically with Azerbaijan. We have seen these instruments and treaties being signed.
Yes, indeed.
And of course, the UAE has a lot of participation in these.
Indeed, Sheikh Ali, we have seen lots and we need much more because this is a very critical problem and file. Sheikh Ali Aliyev, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed on the critical developments from COP29 in Baku. Well, I guess that wraps up our episode today for In Focus. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more updates on Qnews.